What it was, what it do. It's your boy King M. Y'all know what time it is, story time. So, yesterday, I started reading chapter 11, but because I didn't have my chapters marked all the way through, I had to stop it halfway through the chapter to get my burns back together. And I did that, so with that being said, I'm about to complete that chapter for you guys so we can get into the next chapter, which in this case will be chapter 12. But right now I'm just going to start off on page 100. Okay, here we go. Grand Journey, chapter 11, part 2. I did want to holler at her because I really hadn't seen her in a few years. Hey, the last time I did, we got into an argument about something. I believe it was about her messing up my hustle anyway. I'm making money, and I end up letting her come out the county with me when I was nuking, making a lot of money. Way more than I would have made, or anybody for that matter, would make in this city. Well, I don't remember exactly what she did. I just know whatever it was, it made me yell at her. And I told her, stop messing me up. She got sad, and I think after that, we went our separate ways. And that was the last time I recall seeing her. Now it's years later, and I'm about to have a baby, and I see Sierra. But yeah, I don't have time to stop at the moment. I seen her. I knew she was still using an active addiction, and I knew 9 times out of 10 she was gonna ask me for something, and I really didn't have anything for her. So when she called me, I yelled back over to her, "What? I don't have time." And I was on my way to the hospital about to be a father. I don't remember what she said in response though. I know I felt relieved that them days were over. For some reason, every time I think back about most people in a relationship we had when I was in active addiction, all the effed up memories come to my mind. And I find that to be weird. Most people remember all the fun times they had, all the good experiences. That's why most of us addicts relapse and go back out there. Or at least where I'm from, it's like that. That's why, real quick, that's why people, they stay hooked on them shits. Because they always think about the good times. They don't think about the struggle, you know? And that's what I had to remind myself about, the struggle. That's what helped me stay off of it. I kept walking on her, high and by. That's the tip I'm on. If you still chasing that shit, meanwhile, still no bus, and I'm still walking. So now I'm pretty much thinking, what I'm going to probably end up walking the entire way. I think we talked one more time when I got to Bum Park. A bus never came, so I power walked the whole way. It's crazy thinking back because that walk was at least 30 minutes, and she held the baby in the whole time. Unbelievable, if you ask me. So here I am at the hospital. I walk in, then walk up to the desk, get checked in. Now, at this time, I didn't have an ID, so I had to use a copy of my intake picture from PAL because even though I was the baby father, no one was permitted in the NICU without identification, which I understood. So I get upstairs, and you see where the story changed now with this time. Remember before, the difference was when I got to the desk and asked for her and get sent up, they didn't have a clue what I was talking about, and she wasn't in there. And I had to turn around. This time I got past that part. So now I'm finally past that stage after all them years of getting checked in I'm just, this how my brain working. Like, I felt like it was a level of a game. Like, finally I passed. Ain't no more getting turned around at the desk. Now I'm going upstairs to where I'm supposed to be going. So yeah. Even though I was a baby father, no one was permitted to go up there without an ID, which I understood. So I get upstairs in like 2 or 3 minutes flat. You would have thought I was a track star the way I made my way up to the room. So I finally make it to my assigned room number, and she's just laying there in the bed, not saying anything. Basically, she was just waiting on me because she was told to look down at her vagina. She told me to look down at her vagina to see Maria's head poking out a little bit. And I could see little mama's head definitely popping out a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I felt like I was watching a sci-fi movie when I seen that actually the whole process was like that. I say that because so now that I'm in there with her, she was ready to have the baby. So of course I was standing on one side, the nurses on the other, and she was squeezing the life out of my hand. But at that moment it didn't even matter. At that point everything was about Lovey and her having my daughter. So she pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, and slowly a very little person emerged from her little body, because at that Lovey was only 100 pounds soaking wet with semen shoes on and a 40-ounce beer bottle in her left hand. When I say it was unbelievable, shocking, amazing, crazy looking at, and all the above to me. Seeing my first child being born is something I know I will never forget. And I know this to be a fact. And then after Maria came out, 2 minutes later, this big ass organ looking, what the F is that looking shit comes out next. First, I cut the umbilical cord, of course, which was also sweet and a blessing, but that big ass reddish brownish looking thing was the afterbirth, which we found out a little later. And all I say, it was better than I would have thought. Lovey pushed for about 30 minutes, and then Maria Sherelle Dobbins was born at 11:55 p.m. at 6 pounds 6 ounces weight wise. See, I forgot that. I'm glad I wrote it down. Healthy as she could ever be, which was also a blessing because she was born with withdrawal symptoms. But the doctor said that on the 1 to 10 scale, she was only a 1. They said her shaking uncontrollably and her crying nonstop was actually really low, and that wasn't that bad. But to me, it was the worst thing that could have ever happened. Seeing her like that really affected me. I know it did. So then the doctor said the doctor had to get the baby calmed first before we could hold her. Of course, they passed her to mommy first, and then I got to hold her. Man, was it surreal. She was so small. Her whole body was like the size of both of my hands. I mean, she could fit in the palm of my hands. She was so tiny. One thing that bothered me, though, was the way the nurses had me feeling unwanted and like I didn't belong. I've always been good at reading people's energy and body language. So with that being said, for me, for one, I remember either me or Lovey having to basically ask one nurse to pass me the baby. It was weird, like she didn't want me to hold my own child. See, I'm trying to explain something here. Pretty much my whole adult life, I've been a victim to racism and discrimination. And any other stereotypic of a black man in this real talk that I'm saying here. Anything can go through. And because of this, I really started to feel some type of way towards certain individuals that I felt fit that profile. And I didn't even have to know them. Just give me 5 minutes around a person. And I was all I needed. So, I could feel the nurse's energy. And I think she was the lead nurse in charge because she was the main one holding and doing different tests with Malia. But like I said, I personally didn't care who was who. I personally didn't care who she was. She was making me feel uncomfortable with my daughter. So after she left out and the other nurses were gone, it was just me and Lovey and the baby. We finally got the bond. Just the three of us. For a minute, my life felt totally complete. Even though I knew it wasn't something about even though I knew it wasn't something about that moment in time. So was so perfect. I took some pictures with my phone of holding her and the baby. She took some of me holding the baby, and we took some together, all three of us, one family. We were supposed to take the pictures. We were supposed to take pictures. The one nurse I mentioned earlier said so, but fuck that. These are our memories. And she had left the room, so why not? Alright, so we did. Us for like 30 to 40 minutes. Then they came back. Yep, party poopers. I was saying to myself when the nurse came back in the room this time when they came back. Though, they came for the baby. Though, they told us they had to do something with the baby, which was cool until they added the fact that they had to take her to a whole nother hospital room and we couldn't come, and I was trying to make sense of it. Like, alright, Lovey wasn't really in the condition to get out of the bed, but not me. And mind you, the nurse that was doing the most was the racist one. And if not racist, definitely prejudiced, 100% sure. Anyway, she told me that we had to stay put. We had to stay put. She said we'd only be a few minutes, like 5, no more than 10. Whole time this bitch was like 45 minutes. And fucking insane. Me and Lovey first time parents. So remember, all this is new to us. She not trying to press the issue, figure out what's going on, but I'm worrying because now I don't know what they're doing to my daughter. To be honest, I thought they were putting something in her, like a microchip or something. What? Especially with how the world is today, I've already been doing some research stuff like that, and I found out the government and Elon Musk are putting chips in people, and it's been going on longer than me and my daughter has been alive. Now, I'm not saying I'm in conspiracy theorist or anything like that, but I'm not dumb either, and I know how long 5 minutes is. I know how long 15 minutes is, and then this was definitely at least twice as long. So for me, the $1,000,000 question is, and will always be, what in the world was she doing all that time? Now, I have talked to a few different people, men and women, and I've been told this and that, but the truth is, I will never know. Nowadays, I don't even try to think about it. I do know that so far she's been doing great. Been doing great, growing just like any other baby would. She's walking and talking. Her motor skills are on point. So yeah, I don't see Or at least haven't seen anything wrong with my baby. Thank God. Allahu Akbar for the most part. That's the finish of that chapter. And that's the truth. If you like what we're doing over here, like the video, leave a comment, subscribe, tell a friend and tell that friend and tell a friend. Until the next time, we out.